His name, Tom, that I'd meet him.
Call him up. It can wait, right?
I don't know. I may be in love with him.
Holly Hunter.
You look like you could use a little Christmas cheer. Come on. Play. Old habits never die, they just hibernate. Old dealers? You go to jail, right? Play handball with the Wall Street guys?
James Spader.
Against the competition, Redford, Newman, Pacino, Dustin Hoffman, Meryl Streep, I didn't think I had a chance.
Robert Townsend. Those are some of the new faces we want to salute on this special show devoted to people we either saw for the first time or really noticed for the first time in movies made during the last year. Some of these new faces may go on to become important in the world of movies. Some of them may be veterans that are now getting their big breaks. We wouldn't be the least surprised if we saw some of them at Oscar time. I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune. Now, every year, critics compile their best films of the year list or their worst films of the year list, and we do it too. But this year, we thought we'd try to stimulate a new tradition among critics, a list singling out the performers who had a positive impact on us, often in their first or second major screen role. And I'll get started with a young actress, the one who made the greatest impact on me in all of 1987. I had never heard of her before this year. Her name is Holly Hunter. She's a small-town Georgia woman, only 5 foot tall, but a powerhouse comedian, first this year in Raising Arizona, which I think is going to become a cult film.
Thank you, honey. But you really didn't have to do this.
You dressing like a mad dog. What if me and the baby been picked up?
Sure thing, dear.
Nathan Jr. would have been accessory to armed robbery.
No.
Very funny there, but more important was Holly Hunter's first leading role in the great entertainment Broadcast News, where she plays a smart-as-a-whip network TV producer, here arguing with her boss about who is the right man to anchor an important news bulletin.
Tom's not ready for the job you're about to hand him. Not near ready. Not by the longest shot. Now, Aaron spent 6 weeks in Tripoli. He's interviewed Gaddafi. He reported on the 81 story. I think he's essential to do the job we're capable of. And I think it's my responsibility to tell you that.
Okay, that's your opinion. I don't agree.
It's not opinion.
You're just absolutely right. And I'm absolutely wrong.
I don't know how to stop praising her, but let me just say this. Holly Hunter gives a performance even greater than Faye Dunaway's classic in the movie Network, because Hunter is on the screen so much longer than Dunaway was. She's vibrant, vulnerable, and seeing her is like seeing Deborah Winger for the first time in Urban Cowboy. You know a star has been born. Holly Hunter. Remember the name.
Well, I'll try to remember that name, Gene. One of the nicest things about Holly Hunter is her ability to project intelligence.
Yes.
That's tough, because you don't do it by talking fast and using a lot of big words. You do it with the eyes. You do it with the body language. You can see this woman's on the ball.
She is absolutely wonderful, and I think it's appropriate that we're leading off this show with her, because I think she is the year's most exciting discovery.
Could be right. Okay, now on to the next new face of the year. And it belongs to Joe Mantegna, who was the star of the movie we both picked as one of the year's 10 best, David Mamet's House of Games. Mantegna is a veteran stage actor who's appeared in a lot of smaller supporting roles over the years, but this was the year he came into his own in 3 big movies. He was the new actor who joined the cast of a prison theatrical troupe in Weeds. Then he had an important role in Suspect, the thriller starring Cher and Dennis Quaid. He was the prosecuting attorney, a slick, aggressive lawyer who gave Cher a lot of trouble in the courtroom.
That was a wonderful performance. A man shouldn't be on trial, he should be given a medal. You were discharged from the Army for psychiatric reasons, is that right?
Yes.
Did you beat your superior officer with a shovel because he asked you to dig a trench? Was that one of the reasons?
Yes.
Violence seems to follow you wherever you go.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
But the role that Joe Mantegna made his own in 1987 was in House of Games, where he played a professional gambler and con man. Lindsay Krause was a psychiatrist who wanted to learn more about con men, and Mantegna wrapped her around his little finger.
I read a book once which said this: if you're fired from your job, when you're going home, take something. A pencil, something to assert yourself. Take a memento. Take something from life. I think what draws you to me is this. I'm not afraid to examine the rules and to assert myself.
Joe Mantegna's work in House of Games has got to be seen to be believed. The movie is a thriller, but it's also an exercise in style. And he's not playing simply a realistic character, but a character who is himself always playing other roles, pretending to be other people. So when you look at him in this movie, you think you know who he is and when he's telling the truth, and you're always wrong. This takes great acting ability, and Joe Mantegna is the key to why I thought House of Games was the best movie of 1987.
Well, let's put this compliment on Joe Mantegna. He is usually working with his good friend David Mamet, one of our finest writers in America, and he is equal to that writing, which makes him that good of an actor. He is. I'm so glad I saw him, I think you did, in Glengarry Glen Ross, where he won a Tony Award. Now he is going to make it in the movies. This is the film that will make him a star. What a pleasure.
I wouldn't be surprised, and it is a pleasure. Coming up next, a young actor who has been in so many hit movies that he'd probably be a star already if he didn't always play the villain.
Listen, leave Julian alone. Well, Merry Christmas to you too, Clay.
Continuing our salute to bright new stars in the movies, the next new talent I'd like to talk about is James Spader, who specializes in playing slick, smooth, and sometimes fairly hateful young wheeler-dealers. He has specialized so far in his career in the thankless task of playing villains. You may remember him as the nasty boss in Mannequin or the snotty rich kid in Pretty in Pink. This year he appeared in 3 major movies and really came into his own, all in unlikable roles. In Baby Boom, he was the ambitious young executive who was all too eager to usurp the place of Diane Keaton.
JC, I thought you were taking a day off today. What brings you back so early?
Fate, I think.
Fate.
In Less Than Zero, a movie about cocaine addiction among rich kids in Southern California, he gave one of the year's best performances as a slimy drug dealer.
I am not the problem here, all right? Julian is. I've been patient. I let it slide. You know how much he owes me? Anybody else would have cut him off a long time ago. Julian's dead. Forget about him.
And here is James Spader in Wall Street as the hero's old college chum.
What about you? I hear you guys are handling the Fairchild Foods merger and it may not be going through. Any surprises I haven't read about in the Wall Street Journal?
Come on, buddy, that's illegal. You wouldn't want to get me disbarred now, would you?
Oh, who's listening? Just one college buddy talking to another.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's a funny thing about actors. We may say we're impressed by their talent, by how much skill they have in their acting, but in the movies, a lot of us are more often impressed by their characters. To put it bluntly, we like actors who play attractive people. Since Spader has mostly been cast in very unattractive, negative roles and various kinds of villains, he's tended to be overlooked as a good young actor, but while I was watching Less Than Zero, I realized that James Spader has a lot of the same strength and focus as another talented but sometimes overlooked actor, Christopher Walken. It's not easy to play a villain. The character has to be more complicated, more introspective than the average hero, and the better job you do, the less people are likely to like you.
I think what you mean is particularly a villain who is not the centerpiece of the whole film. Obviously a big villain like Michael Douglas in Wall Street, although that's a glamorous role, and people thrive to that. But to make a little villain work and be memorable, that's a tremendous achievement.
Yes, it is.
And this actor is very, very good. He is contemporary, not Hollywood's version of what is a contemporary human being. He is really contemporary. He could do just about any kind of modern character.
I would imagine that the way his career is going, we're going to see him in a lead role before long.
I hope so.
I'm looking forward to that.
I think he can handle it. My next choice is the amazing entrepreneur Robert Townsend, who made a very funny little comedy called Hollywood Shuffle about the problems of black actors trying to make it in Hollywood. Now here he finds out that white producers are interested only in having jive-talking blacks in their movies.
And cut. Hi, my name is Robert Taylor, and I'm a black actor.
I had to learn to play these slave parts.
And now you can too, at Hollywood's first black acting school. It teaches you everything. Learn jive talk 101.
You mother... jive turkey mother...
All right, that's good, you'll work, all right.
As the story goes, Robert Townsend had to beg unused film stock from other people's movies to shoot this little picture and finance the rest on his credit cards. But I must say, the bowing and the scraping paid off with one of the year's most engaging films. Robert Townsend, and he's good as an actor as well as
Here's an example of a guy whose ambition comes true, because here we're doing a show on new faces of the year, and he's one of them. Now, he has been in movies before. He had a bit part in Soldier Story. He's been in 5 or 6 movies. But he realized his career was going nowhere. He went out, he made his own movie, he put himself in it, and it paid off because it was a good movie. He showed he had the stuff.
I'll tell you, I've been saying it for years, if minorities or people who feel left out of the mainstream of Hollywood are going to make it, they're probably going to have to do it on their own. Robert Townsend proves it true.
Coming up next, a veteran stage actress who makes herself an instant star with her biggest movie role to date. Her name is Olympia Dukakis.
My mother's recovered.
You're kidding.
On we go now with our tribute to actors and actresses who broke through this year with memorable performances. And certain to be nominated for an Oscar this year is a veteran New York stage actress named Olympia Dukakis for her great performance as an Italian matriarch of a wild and passionate Italian family in the romantic comedy Moonstruck. Here she is questioning Danny Aiello, a potential son-in-law, about why men chase women.
Just maybe a man isn't complete as a man without a woman.
Why would a man need more than one woman?
I don't know. Maybe because he fears death.
That's it. That's the reason.
I don't know.
No, that's it. No. Thank you. Thank you for answering my question.
Hi. Hello, Mr. Castorini.
Oh. Hi.
Where you been?
I don't know, Rose. I don't know where I've been, and I don't know where I'm going. All right? Should have your eyes open for you, my friend.
I have my eyes open.
Oh, yeah? Well, stick around. Don't go on any long trips.
I don't know what you mean.
I know you don't. That's the point. I'll say no more.
You haven't said anything.
And that's all I'm saying.
Cosmo.
What?
I just want you to know, no matter what you do, you're gonna die, just like everybody else.
Thank you, Rose.
You're welcome.
Now that's just funny. You know, I once interviewed Jack Nicholson, and he told me that the toughest challenge for an actor to do is perform a beautifully written scene, because you know if you fail, it's your fault, because it's right there on the page. And Dukakis has a great scene that she's been given, and she's equal to it. Dukakis' character is hard as nail, but she's also wise and funny, and her performance is equal to the beautifully written role.
You know, it's a tribute to Norman Jewison, who directed Moonstruck, that it's not just about Cher, who is absolutely fabulous in the movie.
In the lead.
It's about, there are 8 or 9 people in this movie that I'm going to remember long after I've forgotten the leads of most of the movies I saw last year. Right. And she's certainly one of them. She steals the movie because she is so particular and so memorable and so funny.
Without going over the top.
That's right.
Being controlled and tough. Real.
Now I'd like to talk about an actor who's been around for quite a while, but who really came into his own this year in a brilliant performance in a movie that not a lot of people saw. I'm talking about Morgan Freeman, who has had good but somewhat invisible roles in the movies for several years, but who was amazing in a film called Street Smart. Here he is playing a smart and vicious pimp in a movie that starred Christopher Reeve as a magazine writer who faked a story about street life and then tried to recruit Freeman to cover for him.
How'd you do last night?
What I give you, $4.50?
Mm-hmm. Try maybe $5.50 or $6.
No, I give you all I got.
Good. I take the bread. The whole loaf, you understand? You want money, you come to me. You try going into business for yourself. You be one dead hole.
Oh, not my face, please.
It's not your face, bitch, it's my face. Hey, take it easy. Yeah?
Oh.
And there's a lot of claustrophobia there in the sense that they're all in the front seat of that car. I think that the character deliberately wants to violate Christopher Reeve's feeling that he has this aura of the freelance writer around him. No, sir, you're right here. You want to write a story about me? You're right here in the middle of my life. The kind of role that Morgan Freeman is playing there is fairly routine in a lot of movies. Usually it's handled in a heavy-handed way. The character usually played as being pretty mean and pretty dumb, but not here. This pimp in this movie, this character is smart, sophisticated, funny, ambitious, and ruthless. And the whole heart of the movie is the way he charms Christopher Reeve and then wraps him around his little finger. Now, Oscar nominations usually go to hit movies that a lot of people have seen, but I doubt if anyone can show me a better male supporting performance from last year than Morgan Freeman's work in Street Smart.
Well, I didn't like the movie Street Smart. In fact, I think his performance is so good that it almost belongs in another movie. I mean, he is playing at another level than everyone else in the picture. So I will grant you that he's very, very good, but the rest of Street Smart, no way. When we come back, two new faces who played each other's lover in a British film about the life and death of a young playwright.
Can you spell?
Yes, but not accurately.
Continuing our special program on the year's new faces, new talents who came into their own for the first time last year, my next choice is Gary Oldman, who I and just about everybody else thinks is one of the best new actors out of England in years. Now, he's only made 2 movies, but what an incredible stretch between one and the other one. Here he is as Sid Vicious, a member of a notorious British punk rock band called the Sex Pistols, in Sid and Nancy, the story of his doomed love affair with an American girl who gets him hooked on drugs. And here is Gary Oldman in this year's Prick Up Your Ears, playing homosexual playwright Joe Orton, whose scandalous comedies won him a Dramatist of the Year award shortly before he was murdered by his lover.
My plays are about getting away with it, and the ones who get away with it are the guilty. It's the innocents who get it in the neck. But that all seems pretty true to life to me, not a fantasy at all. I've got away with it so far, and I'm going to go on.
And his whole attitude there is interesting, kind of amused at a private joke, because he realizes this establishment group that is honoring him with this statue is in fact people who his entire art is designed to totally dismiss. Although they were both outsiders and rebels, it'd be hard to imagine 2 British artists who were more unalike than Sid Vicious and Joe Orton. And yet Gary Oldman brought both of them completely to life in performances that even changed his physical appearance. Unless you looked at the credits, you might not even recognize the 2 characters were played by the same actor. Oldman comes from the great British tradition of working on stage and screen at the same time, and in London he's being compared with Richard Burton and Albert Finney. I think he belongs in that company.
Well, that's heavy-duty company, and we shall see, but certainly these 2 roles couldn't have been performed any better than anyone else, and I would like to see him actually do a comedy next. I hate to be advisor to these people's careers. I'm humbled in their presence, but I think that that's what he could do and really blow people away, because there is, even in the scene that you just mentioned and we saw, there is this
slyness.
There are also the humor in the eyes. I mean, this guy could probably do a very, very funny role extremely well. His talent may be unlimited. My final pick is someone who co-starred with Gary Oldman in this same film, Prick Up Your Ears. Alfred Molina, a Royal Shakespeare Company actor who has had the less flashy role of Joe Orton's teacher and lover in the film. However, he's no less an important character and gives no less an important performance. The tragedy written across Molina's face is something I'll never forget.
I don't want to go away. I just want to go to the awards. I could, look, Joe Orton and guest. I'd behave. I wouldn't say a word, I promise.
No.
Why?
Because it's for me. I wrote it.
I gave you the title.
Okay, so when they have awards for titles, you can go to that.
Well, I don't know anyone who could do that role better than Alfred Molina. You know, Roger, you mentioned about James Spader, how tough it is to get recognized for playing unsavory characters. Here's a film that is an unsavory subject to most people, and I suspect that both Oldman and Molina will be ignored at Oscar time, but wouldn't it be wonderful if Alfred Molina got a supporting actor nomination, because they're going to focus on Oldman. Oldman's getting all the press. He is great. I want to take nothing away from him, but if you watch this film, these two characters are so important to each other.
Oh, yeah.
If one were less of a performance than the other, it would be a different kind of movie. It wouldn't be about the relationship.
It's symbiotic. It certainly is. And you know, we've talked a lot about Oscars on this show, but in a way, and it would be nice if everybody on this show got an Oscar nomination. It'd make us happy. But in a way, their reward is already that after developing their craft to the point where they're such good actors, this was the year when they got the role that allowed people to see how good they were. And that must be such a pleasure for an actor after laboring for years and years to finally get that role that shows what you can do, and it will lead to other things in the future.
Well, that's, I think, the reason why we wanted to do this list. And I meant what I said at the top. I hope that a lot of other critics, if I can encourage my brethren and sisterhood as well, to do this. I would like to see more than that old traditional worst 10 and best 10. How about recognizing in fashion the 10 best fresh performances of the year? That would be exciting.
Okay, that's it for our look at bright new faces in the movies. Now, next week we'll be back with reviews of 4 new films, and until then, the balcony is closed.